You're listening to the Profit Connections podcast. Entrepreneurs and franchise owners, you'll want to tune in. If you're looking to create a rock-solid business, sick of being stuck on the plateau, and ready to kick it up more than just a notch, you're in the right place. I'm your host, Sharon, and I believe in unleashing your full potential to create resilient, successful businesses that in turn make significant positive impacts in our world. Welcome to the Profit Connections podcast. I'm so excited to welcome to the Profit Connections podcast today's guest. Today's guest is Tasha Smith, and Tasha is a business coach and the founder of Emerge Sales Training. She helps coaches, consultants, freelancers, and network marketers who don't see themselves as salespeople gain confidence, build trust, and grow their businesses without compromising their values. Welcome to the show, Tasha.
Thank you so much, Sharon. I'm excited to be here. Hi, everyone.
I want to start out with a little bit of something that you were telling me before we started recording about your company and where you are right now. Can you share that really cool fact?
So the fun fact is that just 2 weeks ago, I left my corporate job. It's been 10 years. And I don't know the exact count, but I think we're somewhere between $5.7 and $5.8 million in online sales. And in a world in which coaches are fighting to make $5,000 a month, most people find that really interesting and want to know more. I got a message last year. We did $419 in cash collected, not like sales with payments coming later, but actually in the bank. And many coaching companies, even the big guys, right? They were in the past year and a half laying people off and not that. And so I got a message. It's like, can you break this down? And I just thought that might be an interesting thing to talk about. And that also, like, to let everyone know that you can absolutely build a career in coaching if you, one of the things that I learned when I was very young, I used to sell knives, Sharon. I don't know if you knew that.
Were they Cutco? Oh, shit, can I say
that? Yeah.
I did for a minute. I did not last in knife selling.
Okay, so I lasted quite a while. I had over 500 customers, over 100,000 in personal sales. My teams did over 2 million, I'm sure, throughout over the years. One of the first things that I learned was if you want to be paid as a professional, you need to act like a professional. And so what I want to say, the first thing before you jump into any questions, is one of the things that has helped us a lot is actually operating as a professional. Just like when I left my corporate job, I kept my same schedule. And I operate this as a high-level professional. And I know that is one of the huge keys that has helped us to generate, close to $500,000 every single year we've been in business.
That's amazing. Congratulations on your milestone. Thanks. I'm very excited and proud of you. I just met you, but I'm really proud of you.
Thank you. I will take it.
But I think the point that you raise is so critical because there is a difference whenever you go from being an employee to being a business owner. And that there's the gates are wide open and there are no guardrails. There's nothing that says you have to get to the office at a specific time or even shower. And some people really thrive in that area. And other people are like, when we started, my husband and I started a business, it was in our home. And I got up every single morning and I showered and I put on makeup and I got dressed like I was walking into a public place, even though I was only going to the bonus room. So there really is a discipline and a mind shift and a practice that comes into enabling you to continue that rhythm so that you can keep things moving, even though you're working for yourself.
Yeah. I think that, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Oh, well, I think that there's this myth out there that to be a good entrepreneur, you should be flying by the seat of your pants. You should be operating in the nooks and crannies There's a lot of talk about the laptop lifestyle and stuff like that, but that's actually not what the research shows as far as our ability to be successful. And so one of the cornerstones of our business is we don't look at what is a trend. We don't look at what the gurus are doing. We actually look at what the behavioral psychology says about our internal performance and the way we communicate with people. There is a science to influence. There are psychological principles that allow people to hear us and people to move and to people to trust us. Those are specific things that we can learn how to do. One of the things when I first started, you'll laugh at this, somebody's like, how does it feel to work for yourself? And I was like, I don't know, this bee is insatiable. And it was because I was like, this boss that I have now doesn't recognize me. She tells me every single day I'm not good enough, that I might be a fraud and people are going to find out, and that I don't know if you'll ever sell anything again.
Wow.
And I've done a lot, terrible working.
Terrible boss.
Right? And so I've really done a lot of work in creating a positive work environment actually for myself. I want to create a business that I would want to work in. One of the principles I think is really important is that we actually separate the roles of the boss and the employee. Mm-hmm. And so if any of you guys have ever worked a corporate job, we've all had the boss that doesn't show up ever. Yeah. They're like, just do whatever. And then what happens is the employees become bitter, they become resentful, they're not recognized, but they also have no direction. Right. So there's a lot of busy work, etc. Then we've also had the boss that is like in the cubicle next to you. When I was a corporate manager, my company pulled all the managers out of the offices because like it was the Zappos movement, and put us in cubicles next to the place. And I noticed like it created a tenser environment to have your boss there. Our people didn't have the flexibility to just like say hi to their friend or goof. Like you have to have a little bit of that interaction because your boss is there. Yeah. If they were goofing around, I felt like I was approving of that if I was letting them do it. And if I interrupted it, then I was creating a tense work culture. Right. I ended up getting an illness that gave me a work from home accommodation for 6 months, and I moved remote, and the performance of my team went up by 20%. Wow. But what I did was real, like as a manager that was remote, was really important. I met with them every single week. I recognized what they were doing well, gave them areas of opportunity, looked at their numbers, gave them direction, and then let them work for a week and then left them alone and reviewed it again. And I really believe that most of us who are entrepreneurs who are not where we're at are having an issue with this boss-employee relationship. Right. That we need to put on the boss hat once a week, do a solid reflection review. You did a good job. Here are some adjustments to make, and then get out of the way and let the worker work. When we put on the employee hat, we just need to work and execute. We're not going to question our boss and be like, I don't know if you know what you're doing, right? Throughout, at 8 o'clock, and then change something at 8:30, and then go and pursue a new strategy at 9 o'clock. We have to listen to the CEO, wait for the next one-on-one, and then move forward. And we massively increase productivity, professionalism. It calms our nervous system. We're able to actually do stuff. And I think that professionalism is really important.
I think that's such a really good point that you make, because when we are constantly switching back and forth to being employee and boss in our brain while we're working, we're constantly second guessing ourselves, like you said. And that's where the imposter syndrome comes in, because we are not clearly doing a role at a time. Yeah. We're going back and forth. Oh, I'm going to do strategy now. Oh, I'm going to execute. Oh, but I don't, what if that doesn't work? And no, I'm going to get back into a new strategy.
Yeah, okay,
and
good.
We set ourselves in this like, and that causes stagnation. That causes us to never make moves forward, because we're constantly in that cyclone of, what am I supposed to do? I don't know if I'm doing it right. What if this is the wrong direction? And second guessing ourselves, which is really inefficient.
It's not just inefficient. And I know you're the ops person, so you're looking at it in terms of inefficiency, but it is maddening. Mm-hmm. right? It just makes
Yep.
you straight insane. There's that sign that's like, you don't have to be crazy to work here, we'll train you. And I feel like
I like that
that
one.
is what we do in our own business. Rates of anxiety and depression are higher in entrepreneurs than the general population. And I think this is part of it. One of my business coaches, Heather, in the beginning, she's like, here's your definition of success. Rock your webinar, do your coaching calls, provide value. And then number 3 objective is don't be crazy. And I was like, okay, I'm going to try to not be crazy this week. And what she meant was bouncing back and forth between those roles, creating whiplash in my brain and whiplash for my team as well.
Yes. And what I've found is, and if you are confused about what you're offering, if you're confused about what your business is and your messaging, then your audience is confused. They are not going to buy from you because they can't understand you, and you can't sell to them because you don't understand what you're selling.
Yeah. Yeah. Right on. Love it.
Speaking of selling, I know we were going to talk a little bit about some sales things that you have, some sales techniques that you.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's talk about the S word, sales. The first thing I think we ought to jump in is actually define what is sales.
Mm-hmm.
And then we can talk a little bit about the cultural idea of sales and why that makes us run for the hills. So if you just felt your whole body like tense up when I said the word sales, hold on, it's gonna be okay. First, let's talk about the difference between marketing and sales. Marketing is the action of attracting eyeballs and generating leads, people that are like, I know who this person is. So this is the act of, hi, I'm Tasha, it's nice to meet you. And that can be through a variety of different ways. So that's marketing, and we measure marketing by the number of leads. Sales is about converting the leads you already have, and that is measured in terms of offers, closing percentage. What closing percentage is like the number of offers that create the number of sales. And then what is our average order? The more offers, the higher closing percentage, the higher average order, the more revenue we actually get and extract out of our marketing. What makes this confusing is English is kind of dumb, Sharon. So we have marketing plus sales equals sales.
Right.
So what happens when I talk to people is I'm like, do you want more? What do you want in your business? And they're like, I want more sales. Okay, so let's talk about sales. No.
Yeah.
But marketing and sales processes are two distinct parts of our client journey. And what a lot of people want to do is they want to do what's called attract ideal clients. But what I do, well, we help people attract ideal clients as well. But what happens is their bucket has a bunch of holes because they're like, I don't want to be a salesperson. And so
yeah, I've had people sit in front of me and tell me, oh, they have this great, amazing product. And they go, I don't want people to think I'm selling to them. Like, I've had business owners say those words to me. I'm like, you are selling to them, or else you don't have a business.
Yeah. So let's talk about like what sales is even. And what does our culture think about it, right? Because if we don't fix the sales process, we're pouring a bunch of water into a hole, into a bucket with a bunch of holes.
Right.
And so most people, they don't want to look at the sales thing. And so they might make 10 offers, they'll make 1 or 2 sales.
Right.
So in order for them to reach their goals, they have to double, triple, quadruple their energy in marketing. And so now they're finding themselves feeling like they need to be on every single platform, always doing marketing, always like putting themselves out there because their sales skills are so poor. But what we have found is that most people, a lot of that percentage actually comes because people unsell and actually stop the forward momentum of the potential client because they're so worried about how it's going to come across. So we have this cultural idea of sales, right? When you think of the word sales, and maybe you understand the business well enough to know, but what do you think most people think of when they think of the word sales?
I think for me, like the first, like the knee-jerk reaction of sales in my brain goes to like that used car salesman.
Yeah, totally. Pushy.
And I think a lot of people, And maybe they're dishonest, and maybe they're just not connecting with you. They're not hearing you. They're not listening to you. They're just pushing and selling.
Yep. They're greedy. They're self-centered. They're inauthentic. We think about the movie Glengarry Glen Ross, where Alec Baldwin's like always be closing, and it's really, really hardcore. But is this actually, I want you guys all to think, is this actually true? Have you ever, Sharon, worked with a high quality salesperson?
Yes.
Okay. And how does that feel?
It feels great because they're listening to you. They're actually entering the conversation in your head that you're having about the problem that you have. That's when it feels like it's most authentic. Whenever you hear me, you see me, you get me. That's the kind of salesperson that I respond to the most.
Yeah, well, and that's the way everybody responds to, right? They make you feel good. They make you feel cared for. They make you're the one in control.
Mm-hmm.
And so what's the difference between the people that make you feel bad, right? The car salesperson vibe, and what you're describing? Well, the difference is actually people you're describing, Sharon, are trained.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody wants to go to sales training though, because they're like, I'm not a salesperson. So then they go over to mindset training because they have a 1 out of 10 success rate, and that makes them really sad and feel very rejected. So they go to mindset training. And at mindset training, they tell you to follow up until someone buys or dies and believe in yourself, and tell your story.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what just happened? In an effort to not be the type of person that you don't want to be, who do you accidentally become?
The person that you don't want to be.
The person that you don't want to be. And the solution is a healthy, true, like our whole world is shaped by unsuccessful people. Those used car salesmen, they're not winning. They're not good, right? And movies. Yeah. And so what I want to offer to you guys are a couple of different definitions that just ground the process of sales. Number one is the dictionary definition of sales. It is literally an exchange of product or service for money.
Right. And that, that's the piece that people, that's literally what it is. It's just that. We bring in all of our experiences and fears and doubts into that process, and then it becomes something else.
Yeah, because we don't know how to be, we don't know how to show up. People buy when they want the solution more than they want the money in their wallet.
Right.
And so what we want to look at is sales being like matchmaking. Sharon, do you have kids or nieces or nephews? Or
I do. I have 2 daughters.
Okay, so did you guys ever have that toy where it was like the circle, the triangle, the square?
Oh yeah. Putting the blocks in the holes. Yeah.
So what happens when one of the kids tries to put a square peg into a round hole?
Oh, it's super easy. It goes right in.
Yeah, right. It's absolutely impossible.
And then they get mad and they're screaming and they're frustrated. You're like, that's
so that's what an untrained salesperson does.
Yeah.
They're mad, they're screaming, they're pushing. It's never going to work. That's not how you play the game. Right. Someone who's good understands that the job is to stick a square peg into a square hole, right? When their problem matches your solution, it becomes a perfect fit. And then it's so amazing to watch the toddler take the right piece and it just goes right. They're about to go like, oh, let me shove that in. And it just slides right in. That's what good sales is. It is not selling ice to an Eskimo. It is selling a prefab sheet of ice with coat hangers built in for an Eskimo to build their house.
Right.
Right. Something that will actually make their quality of life better.
Yeah. I like to say that whenever we are selling something, a lot of business owners get in their heads about that. And, it's about me and it's about me. I'm saying the wrong thing and they're I, me. When in point of fact, the person is buying the solution to the problem they have. And it's never about you. We can learn to, learn things that will make it more effective for us to help them understand we're solving their problem. But ultimately, it's their problem that needs to be solved. If I'm selling Band-Aids and you don't have a cut and you have skin that will never cut, you are not going to need my product. You just won't.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how good the
Yeah.
Band-Aid is. So we need to find people that, our solution is for the problem that they have. And I think as business owners, we get that turned around. They're like, I'm selling this thing. Everybody should want it. It's the right thing. Well, if they can't see that thing that you have solving their problem, they're not going to buy from you. And a lot of times then business owners will get really upset and feel rejected. And a lot of times it's not personal. It is that just wasn't the solution that they needed.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's exactly right. And then in some cases, right, it's not personal. And in some cases, our vibes
Vibes are important.
like, it makes a big difference. And so one of the biggest thing that I think has helped me to first be in the game this long and also help that many clients is when I sit down at the beginning of the day, right? Like we all have our egos, and especially for on social media, like we get caught up in an increase in status, right?
Mm-hmm.
One of the things that I try to do every day and encourage our clients to do is to sit down and say, I'm not trying to prove my value. I am trying to provide value.
Mm-hmm.
And this changes our posture in a coaching process, in a sales process, because our sales process is actually a gift. It gives them a path and it gives them hope. And in a lot of ways, sales is leadership because we help people to go from here to there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right. Here is a place where they're suffering unnecessarily. There is an increased quality of life. And you know who else helps people to go from here to there? Leaders.
Right.
So if we start looking at ourselves as leaders, then we have a different perspective. We're trying to move them out of unnecessary suffering into a better quality of life. So then we need to ask ourselves, well, what do people want in a leader? Let's just ditch the word sales for a second.
Right.
What do people want in a leader? Well, Gallup already did all the research.
Mm-hmm.
And what Gallup found is people want trust, compassion, stability, and hope. And so all we need to do is infuse trust, compassion, stability, and hope into our sales process.
Wow.
But we can't
I just want to break that down for a second because a lot of people, especially in the coaching industry, they hear know, like, and trust, and know, like, and trust. And that's so like ingrained in everything that we do. And this goes a little bit deeper and wider on that. So talk a little bit more about those four things.
Yeah, sure. So, well, first let me address the know, like, and trust because I actually deeply dislike it.
I knew you would.
You did? I was like, I don't know what Sharon feels about the know, like, and trust.
This is the antithesis of it.
Okay, so here's what I think is a problem with the blanket statement of people buy from you when they know, like, and trust you. Right. What we know is there is a percentage of people that will buy and not buy. Mm-hmm. Our people tend to have between a 60 and 80% yes percentage if they're doing one-on-ones. So that's really, really high. That's 5 times the industry average, but there's still a normal no rate. Right. When we say people buy when they know, like, and trust you, it's an oversimplification. But what happens in the coach's mind or the business person's mind is they're like, if they didn't buy, they don't know, like, and trust me. Mm-hmm. And now it becomes deeply personal. Mm-hmm. Yes. Right? Every no, like, we have created the personal rejection. Mm-hmm. But actually what we need to do is we need to take, right, our offer, we need to stick it out there outside of us. And then we need to, demonstrate it's about like the know, like, and trust sentence is just like this, like, if they like you, they'll buy from you. And I'm like, that's really oversimplified. It's just so oversimplified. You have to demonstrate competence. Mm-hmm. You have to, it's deeper, right? It's building trust, showing compassion, demonstrating stability, and inspiring hope. And we can't do this by a vibe. Right. Did you ever watch Care Bears?
Yes, a little bit.
The kids, Care Bears, right? Where they have the like emblem,
a little heart,
like,
or the
sunshine, Care Bear, and they're like,
good luck there.
Yeah, so like the whole world is dark, and they're like, Care Bear, stare, and they just stand there, and then they shoot a beam right onto the land, and then all of a sudden it turns to sunshine.
Yes,
guys, we are not Care Bears. We cannot just shoot a. Not Care Bears, although I think a lot of people think they're Care Bears. That's a maybe a conversation for a different day, right? They're like, I just show up and love people and it's going to be fine. And to an extent, that is part of it. But we're not Care Bears. We have to actually use our words. We don't have a magic beam that's going to automatically beam into them and they're going to know that we're trustworthy, compassionate, have stability, and it can inspire hope. We have to use our words.
Right.
So can I share with you like the easiest way for people to adjust their words?
I would love
And
that.
install. Okay, so we call this the secret sauce. It's kind of like taking chicken breast. You know, a chicken breast is just terrible. But if
My favorite.
okay, plain rubbery chicken breast. No.
Okay,
I bet you
the
it's
hotel
good.
version. The hotel version.
Yeah. But
Okay.
I bet your chicken breast is good because you either use a marinade or a sauce or a rub. Is that accurate?
Not so much of a marinade, but yeah, there's always something on it. It's not just plain nothing, nowheresville. Yeah.
Yeah. So sales is plain nothing chicken breast, and trust, compassion, stability, and hope is your secret sauce. So the easiest way to see this demonstrated is in setting appointments. I think we all know that we want to set appointments, and it sounds something like, want to set up an appointment? And they're like, no. And we're like, but I tried, and why are my clients bad and they're not motivated? And we shift the blame over there.
Right.
But what if instead we said something like this? Okay, so Sharon, usually what I do is set up a time to go over your blank goals, a little about how I work with people, and the most popular packages. My part takes about 30 minutes. If it's a good match, great. If not, no big deal. I just want to make sure you make the most informed decision. Is that something you're open to?
I love that.
How do you think people would respond to that?
Oh, I think that first of all, positively, because you've given them information about what to expect. Then with that information, they can go, oh yeah, that would be worth 30 minutes of my time. Let me go check it out. As opposed to, I don't know what I'm going to get. She's going to try to sell me something. I'm not ready. I don't know if I want to have that conversation. I don't know what my budget is for that type of thing. I don't know if I want to invest. And then when you leave it open-ended, it enables them to have all those conversations in their head, and those conversations push them further away from you.
Yeah, that is one of the best assessments I have ever heard on that approach. It's a total lack of transparency, and we're not doing it on purpose. We're just not educated. So let's break down the trust, compassion, stability, and hope. When I say usually what I do, this demonstrates stability. It's something I do often. When I give an agenda, we're going to go over A, B, and C. It builds trust. They know exactly what to expect. When we tell them the first thing on the agenda is what's important to you and your goals, this shows compassion. We care about them, and it gives hope, because we're going to talk about what they want to see happen on the other side. It's not all about us. When we say, if it's a good fit, great. If not, it's no big deal. This builds trust because they know that they're in charge. We're not going to hold them hostage. There's not going to be pressure. And when we say, is this something you're open to? This shows compassion because we are actually gaining their consent. They can decide yes or no. And so when we say, usually what I do is set up a time, blah, 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 right? What is happening is they're in that short, I don't know, it's 4 sentences. We are demonstrating, we are building trust, showing compassion, demonstrating stability, and inspiring hope. And that's why people respond so well. And so what we want to do is we want to basically take trust, compassion, stability, and hope and stick it everywhere in the sales process. The challenge is high quality sales training just kind of doesn't exist. It's really hardcore. It's like follow up until they buy, right? And we need to just make sure that we're always communicating in line with our values.
Yeah, I love that, because there is so much. What you said is, salespeople are in that. I've been in these back rooms. I've heard what's said to salespeople, and you're absolutely right. And it's keep going until you get a no. Like, you keep following up, keep going. And then there is a lot of, especially in some high pressure situations, there is a lot of making people think about things in a way that they don't necessarily want to think about. And that will sometimes trigger that mistrust. You have to get in there. You have to build that trust first. You can't just go, hey, tell me what your sales numbers are. I mean, you can. It's not necessarily always as effective if you don't take the time to make them feel heard and seen and have that trust factor in there.
Well, yeah, and it's not even just about like making them feel heard. It's about actually hearing them.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
It's, even sometimes they're like, okay, how do I perform this sales conversation the way you want me to perform it? I'm like, no, it's not a performance.
Right.
We have to actually, like I said, walk into each day trying to provide value instead of prove value. We need to understand that our income is a direct reflection of the amount of problems we are solving in our clients' lives. And so it is so much about we can't listen to them when we're attached to the outcome.
Right.
And so this is where
I think I'm just going to jump in there. I just wanted to go back before you get too far away from it, that performance piece, because what happens, especially with business owners when they're insecure about their presentations and making those sales, is they think that if someone gives me the right words, if I perform it the way that it's supposed to be performed, it's going to work. And that performative thing comes in because of the insecurity, because of the not knowing what's going on, or knowing the right way, or is it going to work? And so we slip into that. Well, if I perform it in this way, then it's going to be successful. And when it's not successful, then it must be our performance. And so what you're talking about is actually training people to get out of that performative mindset, because sometimes we use that as a sort of a protection. If I perform it, it's not me. They're not rejecting me. They're rejecting my performance. And then ultimately it comes back to a personal rejection.
It's a whole mess.
Yeah.
Like, I'm so glad I learned how to sell when I was 20 years old before I had a bunch of things, because we were just taught, like, read the manual, smile, be nice, everything's going to work out. And, by the time we become grown-ups and we learn this for the first time, there's just so much other stuff in there. And so the right words do matter, because we do need to, speak to people in the way they need to be spoken to. And then also our unattachment to the outcome, that relaxed atmosphere actually pulls people forward. And, no one can tell consciously when you're trying to prove your value. And this happens a lot with not just newer coaches, even for myself, right? If someone is like, oh, Tasha, you guys are so successful, come and tell us all your secrets. It will like, even at the highest levels, it'll invite me into a proving value. Mm-hmm. Like, I need to prove you are who I say I am. Mm-hmm. When people are newer, it's, I need to show you that I'm an expert. But the best way to help prove to people you can help them is to actually just help them.
Right.
Instead of trying to convince someone. And that's the part, is it's like we think that we need to convince them or prove to someone who we are, who we aren't, when really what we need to do is, give people an agenda, ask what's important to them, ask them why is now a good time, share what makes us different, and then offer them a couple choices.
And the point that you got to was the listening point. I did want to go back and talk about the performance. Sure. And the performance actually kind of precludes us from that listening, because we're listening for them to say the next thing so we can say the next thing.
Oh, yeah, right on.
So let's talk a little bit about that listening and why it's so valuable in the sales process.
So there's a great quote by Teddy Roosevelt, and we all know it. People don't care how much you know until you know. Come on, you know it.
They know how much you care.
They know how much you care. People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And again, we're not care bears. And so when we start off a sales conversation, we start off with an agenda. Okay, so what we're going to do today is we're going to cover what's important to you, how I work with people, right? How, what are the different packages? If you want to move forward, cool. If not, no big deal. I just want to make sure you make the most informed decision. How does that sound? And they're like, okay. And they relax and they nod their head. And so in the first 60 seconds, they're like, I'm going to make a more informed decision today. So the leadership is already set. And then we're going to ask, what do you want to make sure we go over? what are your goals when it comes to this topic, or what's important to you? What have you already tried? Why is now a good time? And we're going to just take notes. A lot of people here try to overly connect with people. And so there's two mistakes that people make in this spot. They're like, I'm a this and this and this. And they're like, oh my gosh, me too. Let me tell you, because they've been told, tell your story. That is not the right time, though.
Right.
You have to wait, right? You just have to listen, take notes. The other mistake, well, they'll do me too, or then they'll be like, oh, I have something for that. That is what makes it salesy. So we want to just shut our mouth, ask the questions, say, tell me more. And like, that is such a huge signal. And I always ask people, and if you guys are as you're listening to this, don't you think about the last time your spouse, your mom, your best friend, your kid, whoever, someone important to you said, how was your day? That happens all the time.
Right.
And then you start telling them and they're like, stop, tell me more.
Yeah.
Like literally never, right?
Right.
And what if we did that? What would we signal to our potential client if we said, tell me more? What do you think?
I love that. I love that, because that's inviting them into to the conversation. It's about them. Then they can go deeper and actually think more about, or experience more about what it is that you're actually having a conversation about. Because usually the first answer that someone gives is that surface level answer.
Yep.
And the more you ask, tell me more, say more about that, tell me more about that, that invites them into a deeper process, which actually can help them identify what the issue actually is.
Well, that's exactly right. Because we're just leading them somewhere they want to go. We're not trying to push them somewhere we want to go. Then after that, we could say, okay, let me make sure, Sharon, that I understand what you said. You said, this is what you're trying to do. This is what's hard for you. This is why you want to do it now. Is there anything that I missed? There are two things that can happen right there. The first thing that happens is they say, no, you got it. And they are beaming.
Yeah.
Yep, that's exactly right. Or they say, no, actually, and they clarify. Either way, we have now demonstrated trust. We don't, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. So we postpone how much we know until after we have proven that they know how much we care.
Right.
After we summarize, then we can say, okay, let me tell you a little bit about how I got here. And you can draw commonalities, and that's really useful, but it has to be after you have completed what I call the input process, and then summarize to close it up.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And so many people start with that, like you said, when they have conversations. And honestly, I did when I started having conversations with people. I was like, oh, let me solve that for you. Let me solve that for you. And then I solved everything on the phone call. And then they were like, great, that was great. I'm going to go implement all the things you told me to do. And also I was like, oh, like that's not necessarily just because I think I was trying to show them how much I know. Right.
Yes.
So actually getting what's going on for them is more powerful. And you said earlier, you likened sales to leadership. And what you're doing by using this process is you're leading them to the solution for their problem instead of selling them yourself.
Yes, that's exactly right. And then that creates better clients anyway. Higher retention, longer journey with you. I have clients that I've worked with for like literally a weekly one-on-one client for 5 years, because every year we are like, all right, what are the new goals? And then we draw a path, and that, so she just stays for a really long time. And it's so rewarding as a business owner to know that this is how we're conducting business as well. It helps with referrals. It helps with all this stuff. And that's how, like, our first 2 full years were both over $1 million, because of the word of mouth that were created by the experience that people were having with us.
That's awesome. This has been such a great conversation. We really got into a lot of depth today. So I hope that the listeners will go back and listen to this again, because I probably could listen to this 3 times and get so much value out of every single listen. Do you have a gift for our listeners, Tasha?
We do. I have two because we
Yay,
deeply
two.
believe in always giving people a choice of two.
Uh-huh.
So the first group, and I'll give Sharon, I'm sure all these links will be right around there. The first one is you're more than welcome to join our free Facebook community. And we have over, at this point, 2,600 people in there. And the goal of that community is that we are providing resources and we are connecting in order to make full-time income. And so conversations like this are a part of that. We also have a bunch of free resources that we distribute to our members totally for free to help them move forward. So the first thing is our community. And then the second
What is the name of the Facebook group?
It's called Words That Work.
Love it.
Because we like to teach people words that
Work.
like we teach people and they're like, oh my gosh, I did what you said and it worked. And we're like, we give you words that work.
Perfect.
So yeah, it's called The Words That Work, and we'll give you guys the link for that. And then the second thing that I have for you guys, if you want to dive deeper, is we have a sales conversation workshop. It is actually $197 on our website, and we're going to give it to you for free. And it's going to walk you. Yeah, I know. Cool, right?
I love it.
We want to walk you through how to do the agenda, how to do the input, how to customize your entire sales conversation so you can have those high closing rates while providing a service. One of my missions is to democratize sales training. I'm really grateful that I was able to be exposed to such good training. Most people haven't. And so that's why we want to give this to you for free. And then we think if you'll like it, you may want to work with us on other parts of your business as well in a more deeper way. So the workshop is totally free. And we'll give you that link. I have a QR code for it.
We'll put all that into our community. So you'll go to our profitconnectors.club. That's our community. Profit Connectors, because you're the one doing the connecting. Profitconnectors.club. That is our community, and we'll have all of Tasha's gifts there. So I hope that you go and you grab those things and listen back to this podcast, because this has been juicy and amazing. Thank you so much for being here, Tasha.
Thank you so much, Sharon. I appreciate your enthusiasm and a great conversation.
Awesome.
You guys are all in good hands.
Thanks so much. And we'll see you on the next Profit Connections podcast.
Bye, everyone.
Hey, Profit Connectors, that's it for another Profit Connections podcast. If you're ready to make moves and connections that take your business to the next level and get your gifts and resources, head over to the website profitconnectors.club. That's profitconnectors.club, and get your goodies right now.